So, John, this will be a fun one for you today, I guess. What I want to talk to you about is you're the type of guy that has a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts, right?
Sure.
Several businesses and all that. The question I think would be helpful for, not only us, but everybody, watching this to learn from your perspective is how do you handle things when your team isn't getting the stuff done that you want done?
That can be a very frustrating topic for sure.
And I
So,
know that barely ever happens, by the
right.
way.
Well, actually, it happens less.
Yeah,
For me, it's been around how I set it up
yeah,
and who I give the work to.
sure.
And so, one piece for me that was really important was to build that inner team
Yeah.
and look at them like they're my team. These are people that I am choosing to help me do what I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
And so I don't feel stuck that I have to use somebody else, but like literally, I'm recruiting you because I believe that if I give you this, you can execute it.
Right.
And so understanding that's the context, that's the environment I'm giving people things to do primarily. Now I have to hire outside companies, do all those other things to make things go as well. It's not
Hmm.
like I'm able to live in that bubble, though I would
Sure.
really like to live in that bubble. One of the things is around obviously delegating clearly, giving people something that you believe that they could be successful with. There's a lot out there around how to delegate well, and so
Sure.
so I want to focus on a piece of it that's more like the uncommon sense of it.
Hmm.
I just had a situation where I outlined exactly what I wanted,
Hmm.
and super clear, accomplishable. There's none of the normal visible hangups to
Hmm.
getting it done,
Hmm.
and I gave it to someone who's more than capable. And what happened was, instead of taking that on, the person said, "Okay, that needs to be done. These other things need to be done." They jumped in on something else that was much more difficult,
Hmm. Hmm.
had a lot more heavy lifting in
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
so much more to put on
yeah.
instead of addressing the items that I had given first.
Yep.
And so what, at first it's like, hey, this is what I wanted. I gave
Mhm,
it to you. You don't have permission to change
mhm.
what I wanted to do unless you had permission. Did you have
Right, right,
permission?
right,
So
right.
that's a piece.
Yeah.
There's a lot of frustration that lives there. But if you look at it and see somebody with an open mind
Mhm,
took on a more difficult challenge instead of addressing what I really wanted done, one, you got to like the courage that they
mhm.
wanted to take on the more difficult one. But what stopped them from doing the piece? Did I not explain
Hmm.
it? There's that whole self
Sure.
examination. But really, what I found is that when there's something very simple that needs to be done or appears to be simple and someone doesn't do it, there's often some sort of a fear, like a fear of failure
Hmm,
sitting behind it. Now, the item that I wanted
hmm,
done did require courage.
mhm.
It was doing something they had never done before, but it was super low risk in my mind. It's
Yeah,
like just jump in, make the phone calls that are needed. Let's
sure.
get that
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
Let's learn it on the fly and then go out there and execute.
Mhm,
So instead of doing that, worked on something else that would require a whole new program development
mhm,
and willingly jump right into that. And so the piece around that is like, hey, if these people are people that I've picked, they're on my team,
mhm,
I know I can be successful with them, and they're not taking on something that I know that they can do very well.
mhm,
There's obviously some sort of fear there,
mhm,
and instead of looking at that like they're wrong or bad or
mhm.
frustration, setting in and all of that, just
Yeah.
looking at it saying, I'm giving them something to do that I want them to be successful with.
Mhm,
How can I make it easier for them to be successful with? And so one
hmm.
thing that happened was we ended up having a conversation around, hey, we didn't do the stuff that was really basic.
Yeah.
We did these other harder things. Why didn't we do the basics? What were the obstacles that were there? And kind of getting down to the root of the matter. And it was like, hey, if I would have just done one for him
Sure.
right in front of him, showed him how to do it, what I was envisioning success
Mhm,
for it, he wouldn't have had to fill in the blanks with all that and be hyper concerned about it.
mhm,
And it would have been really cool. So the one thing I would encourage people to do is to say, instead of getting frustrated,
mhm,
look at what's stopping them. If you've got a really good team around you and they're not doing what you want to be done,
mhm,
there clearly there could be a misunderstanding, but oftentimes it's going to be this hidden fear of failure.
mhm.
And if you can tap into that and understand that and work through it, you can become a great teammate to them and likewise. And so that's the area that I would focus on.
That's very interesting. I think everybody faces that challenge. I've been on both sides of it, right? Where I'm the one delegating, like back in the day when it was my show, it was uh, it was different because it was my show. I mean, I wanted people to do what I wanted them to do. And then being on the flip side of that, when you're doing client services or working with people like you, it's one of those things where it is a little bit tricky for people, I think, to understand. The objective is you want to over deliver for the person that you're working with or for. And I think a lot of times, like when it comes to the fear of failure, I agree with you. I think that's a big thing for me. And I think it's the tolerance for failure. from the top. Like I've worked with people that have been like, look, throw spaghetti at the wall, we'll see what sticks, and then go on from there. And then other people that are much more detailed in terms of what needs to be done and how to execute it. How do you roll out your expectations like in these situations to avoid people letting you down?
You bring up a great point. This idea of outperforming and
Yeah.
overperforming is really important, because doing extra credit
Hmm.
but not getting the basic assignment done is a failure.
Hmm.
And replacing the core item with extra credit
Yeah.
is a failure. And so we have to understand that. And so if you did what I asked,
Hmm.
then I'm probably going to be content, right?
Right. 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 Right.
Now,
Right.
having to make me super content is oftentimes coming from an insecure position. Having to outperform,
Yeah.
giving them more than what's expected, is often coming from an insecure position.
Yeah.
There's reasons to do it, so I'm not criminalizing it, but I am trying to say that the most important thing is to make sure that the item that was given as the primary needs to be treated like
Yeah.
it's the primary. And having that kind of order ensures the relationship's in order.
Hmm.
And so all of the hyperactivity to try to make sure that someone loves working with you,
Hmm.
to cover up that you didn't do what was
Hmm.
required,
Yeah.
that piece is what we're trying to diffuse. With that, we want to outperform and we want people to recognize that, because it's one of the ways that we show effort.
Yeah.
Look, I care so much that I'm doing this, and that's a beautiful thing. The issue that I have is that you cannot lower the priority that I've given something.
Yeah.
So if I believe that on a 1 to 10, this item has the minimum level is a 9, I can't give that to someone who's shooting for an 8.
Right.
They have to shoot for a 9 as the minimum. So
Right.
so like my expectation becomes the floor, not the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to try to get you 9. No, you have to at least get the 9.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would I hire you to do it? It's very important to look at those things that are fundamental of the transfers of responsibility. I have an objective.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to somebody that I'm entrusting it to someone. I believe that that person is going to get it done. They believe that they can get it done,
Yeah.
and then we're able to move forward. I'm not going to give it to someone who expects lower.
Hmm.
I'm not going to give it to someone that doesn't think that they can do it. Therein lies the problem. If they say they can't do it, well, they might get replaced.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they're going to take on some challenges they might not
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
ready for.
Right.
And I believe that's where some of these issues reside. And that's where that clear and courageous communication that says, hey, I want to do this for you.
Yeah.
Here's something I want to understand. Or, hey, I'd love to do this for you. Can you do one
Yeah.
for me? Can you show me the
Yeah.
example of how you want this to go, without it feeling like a burden on me, but rather a stronger delegation because you want to be successful?
Yeah. You've said this over the years. I think it's one of your core values, right? The clear and courageous communication. That's a big one. Yeah, I think just for anybody watching this, or to infuse that as part of your culture, I think it's huge. Having that as like a foundational piece of the culture and embedding it in your company, I think is so valuable to have people know, like, if you're going to veer outside of this, and this is like me talking into the mirror here, basically, right? If you're going to veer outside of this, or you're super, you're not quite clear on terms of what that foundational piece is. Okay, bring it up. Let's get to what is that deliverable, and then sure, go have fun playing your sandbox, but get
Mhm.
the deliverable knocked out. I think that's something that a lot of companies don't really broadcast to their people. Like, have clear and courageous communication. It resolves a lot of problems in advance.
Right. One of the things that stops people from doing that is, how does the person that's in more that has the authority, how do they respond?
Sure.
And when the company is inconsistent in
Yeah.
how they respond, the leadership team is inconsistent, they don't drink the same kind of Kool-Aid, therein lies a lot of the problems. And I
Hmm.
faced that for years,
Hmm.
where this is what I'm saying, but then I have people that are in a position of authority that say and think things differently, and they don't respond
Hmm.
kindly to clear and courageous
Hmm.
communication. They feel challenged and threatened and all these other things.
Right.
And that's wildly destructive. And
Yeah.
so that's where you're building a leadership team. It's
Yeah.
my team. It's because they're in line with what I'm looking to do, my
Yeah.
objectives, my style, and allow people enough room to put their own fingerprint on it,
Mhm.
but not to the point where they're taking us off track.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I mean, to bring it kind of full circle around the book and everything, like that's where the personal manifestos are huge, right? Because then, to your point, if I don't know how to deal with, a boss, or, a mentor, a teammate, whatever the case may be, to your point, like there's like that, oh my gosh, I don't know how they're going to respond to this. Whereas if you're able to kind of lay out manifestos, particularly as a team, in advance, boy, you know the players on your team and what makes them tick before anything kind of, you know,
Mhm.
bubbles to the surface. It's a tremendous value. And I had never done that. Like when I had the company years ago, and just even working with people today, there's so few that have that understanding, and you can see that
Yeah,
in meetings where, like, man, after going through the manifesto, I look back at a lot of the work that I've done and the situations that I've been in with different companies and their teams, and you realize, like, in those teams, these people are working on projects. They don't really know each other, or like what makes each other tick.
sure.
So it's like this weird dynamic that goes on that leads to, a lot of things being misunderstood, not being done, etc. So the manifestos are huge for just kind of identifying, hey, this is what makes this guy tick.
So you bring up a great point around my core values,
Mhm.
and I'm not for everybody adopting my core values. Let the core values be theirs. What we're talking about is communication. Obviously, everybody talks about it. How are you going to have a successful company without
Right.
good communication? All that. If the manager is hyper involved and is not only delegating it but then closely overseeing the completion of it,
Mhm.
then that clear and courageous communication becomes less of a focal point.
Mhm. How so?
Well, if I'm watching you do, if I'm telling you what I want you to do, and
Yeah.
then I'm closely monitoring you doing it,
Right. Right.
each
Right.
time you're off
I see.
track, I'm going to spot it.
Yeah.
And so the idea around the core values is make sure that they are your core values.
Yeah.
Now, in that, how do you put someone in a position to win? How do you put a person in a position to be able to help you more? And it's really tied to the aspirations of the company.
Yeah.
And so if you're trying to grow significantly, it's pretty hard to have a really good team around you
Mhm.
if you're not really good at developing your team.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. How are you going to
Right.
achieve great things with a great team if you don't ensure that you're developing your team to be great for you?
Right.
And that communication side of it, there should be that teamwork. And oftentimes, where that fear comes in is because they're used to dealing with people that have an erratic response.
Mhm.
So if you can drive through and get a solid response, like, here's how we're going to address these things. Then in time, pretty quickly, you're going to see, hey, we already had this issue. I
Mhm.
told you, if you have this issue, speak up so we can go through it because I'm not sitting around micromanaging you,
Yeah.
ensuring that everything is being done this way. I've delegated this responsibility to you,
Mhm.
not this task. And then that moves it off of me. So when I'm delegating, I want to be very clear that I'm delegating a responsibility,
Mhm.
unless it's a task. But if I delegate a responsibility, hey, you have to get it done. And it is up to you to communicate, like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm behind. Don't let me catch you being behind.
Yeah.
That's going to be a real problem. It's going to open up all kinds of doubt.
Mhm.
The fear of failure that the person is carrying. Now I have the fear that I've given it to the wrong person.
Right.
And now that fear is going to take over
Yeah.
and that's going to get a little ugly.
Right.
So
Right.
it's important that we have this clear and courageous communication in my world because I delegate a lot of responsibilities. I
Sure.
delegate very few tasks.